Welcome to the Homeschool Show from North Carolinians for Home Education. Our goal is to help you homeschool with confidence and joy. I'm your host, Matthew McDill, and we have once again as our co-host, Lynn Pierre-Jones.
Yes, great to be
How are
here
you?
once again.
Good to see you.
Doing great. Good to see you.
What do we have today?
All right, today in Homeschool News, we'll give you a report on the Capitol Fest and talk about changing values in America. After that, we will have homeschool conversations. Today, we will listen to a presentation by Representative Dennis Riddell at our recent Capitol Fest in Raleigh. Now, after that, guess what?
Homeschool Tip of the Week.
Yes, Homeschool Tip of the Week is me, you all. I'm going to talk about doing it for the dividends. I'm not going to tell you everything that's about, but it's about creating generational health in your homeschool.
Okay.
Now, after that, we got Homeschool Helps with Amanda. Amanda is going to explain the difference between spiral and master learning and the pros and cons of each.
All right. And she'll give us some examples too. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
So starting homeschool news, we're going to start with values, the changing values in America. Have you noticed?
Oh, yes.
That the values are changing?
Yes,
So
sir.
the Wall Street Journal just came out with a study, a report on changing values, and they've been asking similar questions since 1998. Okay.
Wow.
How much do they value things? One of them is patriotism. So in 1998, it was 70% of those asked valued patriotism. Now we're down to 38%
Wow.
this year. Religion. In 1998, it was 62%. Now we're down to 39%. Interesting one is having kids. You know, that was something that has been valued. So it was 59% 1998. We're down to 30%. And here's what's interesting. 13% of that drop happened since 2019.
Wow.
Okay, so
That's
it's really plummeting. So, of course, there's community value, hard work value. Those are dropping. There is one value that has increased. You know what it is? Money.
Oh, okay. What a shock.
Yeah. So it is up 12%.
Wow.
We value money more. All right. So the other thing that's really interesting to see alongside of this is how many reports we've heard about the decreasing happiness. The increasing depression of our culture. And we're going to have a connection here. All I want to do is bring that to your attention and say to parents, you have the opportunity to pass on to your kids values, okay? They're going to get them from you. Yes, they're going to get them from the culture and other people, but you have the opportunity to do that. It's your privilege and responsibility. So pass that value on to your kids because you have the opportunity to do it. We had an awesome time at Capitol Fest, April 5th. And we were able to tour some of the buildings, have some of the representatives talk to us. And today we're going to listen to Dennis Riddell. He's the North Carolina representative from District 64 in Alamance County. He has served in the General Assembly since 2012. He and his wife, Polly, homeschooled their 8 children. So let's hear what he shared with us.
It is my privilege to serve here in Raleigh right now. I would like, if you are a homeschool parent, would you please stand just for a minute? Homeschool parent, stand up. Okay. All right. On behalf of my wife, who's in the back, Polly, Lou, your hand. We were where you are now about 14 years ago, 14 years ago. And we had always kind of been involved in current events in our government, in campaigns and things. And the Lord opened up an opportunity in 2012 to run for office. And by his providence and grace, we won. And then we won again, and won again, and won again, and won one more time. And by God's grace, maybe in November of 2024, we'll win again. But thank you very much. If you could have your seat. I want to encourage you to be participants in your government. And what are the first 3 words of our preamble and our Constitution? Yes, sir. We, the people. We live in a great country, warts and all, but it's a great country because we have the most freedom, I think, of any other nation in the world. And we are the bastion for the freedom of those other nations. Those that enjoy a semblance of freedom get it because America is what America is, a world power. And what the founders put in place with we, the people, was reestablishing government as an ordained entity of God, but to serve, not to be served. As a representative, my job is to speak on behalf of the 80-some thousand people in half of Alamance County. It's my privilege to do that, but I don't represent Dennis Riddell. I represent District 64. I represent the people who sent me to Raleigh on their behalf. Now, that doesn't mean I can't have an opinion every now and then. It means that I get to present my opinions in concert with the legislative flow here in Raleigh. I'm glad you're here. Government's not a scary thing. It should not be a scary thing to you. It should be something that you are on a very good, familiar first name basis with. So if you don't live in Alamance County and you haven't yet, I would encourage you to take effort to meet your legislators, meet your representative, meet your senator today. If nothing else, meet the gatekeeper for these people, the legislative assistant, which my wife, who is also a very accomplished homeschool mom, is also my legislative assistant. So we do this together down here in Raleigh, which is really good because we get to see each other sometimes. It's a very busy job, but I'm blessed to have her smiling face be the first thing you see when you walk in to office number 416A in the House of Representatives. She's also the sweet voice on the other end of the telephone, should you call, and the kind person who writes sweet emails even if you don't deserve it. Okay. I want to save a little time for questions and answers a little later, but I want to tell you a little bit about how we got to where we are in Raleigh, because I want to encourage each of you that you can be here. You can be here in the position of a representative or a senator by God's grace. It's not something that's an exclusive club. You don't have to be a super genius. I am testimony to that. I'm not a Mensa candidate. I'm more just kind of like a min. All right. What it does require is that you need to learn a little bit about your government. At the very minimum, you need to be registered to vote. If you are not, shame on you. If you are 18, or if you're going to be 18 by this coming November election day, you can register and vote. That's where it all begins. And if you don't participate, believe me, there are other groups coming to Raleigh every day. Every day, somebody is here petitioning us for something to do with their particular issue, something to do with their particular group. So if you're not here, you're going to abandon this very important, I think, opportunity to influence your government. So first thing is, register to vote and vote every opportunity you have, especially in primary races, especially in the city council, school board races that will be happening this year. Because there's such a low turnout in those races, your vote is multiplied by participating. So make sure you find out who's who in your city council, county commission, school board races, whoever's on the ballot in November for you, and pay close attention who they are. You can actually contact them. Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. We are just people. Okay? There's nothing special about Dennis Riddell. My wife can tell you that. She would agree. There's nothing special about the office I have. There's nothing magical. You don't get crowned with wisdom. You don't get a super knowledge, okay, just because you take an oath. Who you are before you are elected, you will be more of that times 10 after you are elected. So be sure that not only do you register to vote, get to know who your elected officials are. They are very easy to contact, those who are local to you. Now, if you try to reach out to your congressman or your senator or the president, that's going to be a stretch of trying to get a hold of them probably. But the people who make most of the decisions that impact you every single day, it's not Washington. It is probably Raleigh and your local city councils and county commissioners. So I would encourage you, again, make sure you're registered to vote so you can participate, and then participate. Find a candidate you like. Okay? Is there a perfect candidate anywhere? No. Oh, you crush me. No, absolutely there is no perfect candidate anywhere. Okay, not a one. So find the one who most closely aligns with what you hold dear, with your beliefs, and then offer your help to those candidates. You can do any number of things. Okay, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of elections and political involvement, but I just want to challenge you as somebody who is in the arena. We need more people out there helping us to the arena and supporting us once you get in the arena, because it can be a very difficult place, elective office, especially in times in which we live. These are not normal times. This is a clash of cultures that we're seeing in our nation. And if you don't get involved and bring your cultural norms to bear to the legislative process, then whoever does wins by default. So get involved. Look at your children. If you need to be encouraged as to why you're doing what you're doing or why you want to get involved, take a look at your children and wonder, what kind of future are we leaving for them? That was what galvanized my wife and I back in 2010 to run for office in 2012. We wanted to leave things better than we found them for our children. That's our legacy. That's our dream. That's the purpose of why we are here. We want to make sure that our children have the same opportunities, if not more, than we enjoyed growing up. We want to make sure that our children have the same God-given freedoms of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness that we've enjoyed. We want to make sure that what we leave to our grandchildren is a legacy of freedom here in this great country.
All right, I really enjoyed hearing that.
That was good.
Dennis did a great job while we were there. I appreciate that. Homeschool tip of the week.
Homeschool tip
Man,
of the
what do we
week.
got?
It's my turn.
What's your tip?
Yes. So do it for the dividends. That's what we're talking about today, you all. I want to talk about creating generational health, not wealth, but health in your homeschool curriculum. This is so good. So let me tell y'all a little story, because I see students. I'm a physical therapist by trade. I was with a student, and I back off a little bit because I want her to take the lead and interview the clients and stuff like that. So I'm standing back in the hallway. So this gentleman, the client that we're working with, he says, "Hey, you look like you're in pretty good shape. You're working out." I said, yeah, I work out. So then later on, he looks at me and says, "You know what? I was thinking about you working out." And he said this. He said this to me, and I really didn't catch it when he said it. I'm catching it now. I caught it later. He said that you will benefit from the dividends of you working out for years to come. And he said that because he was in the condition that he was in because he didn't take care of himself. He didn't take care of his body.
Right.
So today I'm going to talk to you about doing it for the dividends. So I'm talking about health, but I'm not talking about health for right now. I'm not talking about you want to fit in a dress or a suit coming up right now. I'm talking about doing something right now that's going to benefit generations to come. Because just like you were talking about earlier, you were talking about values and how our kids adapt our values.
Right.
So this is a value that I'm encouraging you all to establish in your home that you're going to pass down to your children and down to your children's children. Okay, so let's dive in, doing it for the dividends. So the first thing is I looked up dividend. Now we know about dividends when it comes to investing in money and stuff like that, but listen to this. This is so good. So this is the 6th definition of dividend, and it says this: anything received as a bonus, a reward, or in addition to or beyond what you actually expect.
Okay.
So when you are exercising, because we're just going to stay specific to exercising. When we talk about exercise, you're like, oh, I'm going to get fit, I'm going to get strong, all these benefits to you. But things that you might not expect is the benefit that it's going to have on your children and your children's children. So when this gentleman talked about dividends, he's not talking about what I'm doing right now, but he was talking about what I'm doing right now is going to benefit me today, tomorrow, next month, next year. And that's what we want to pass down to our kids.
All right.
So that's our first point, like defining what we mean by dividends in this conversation. The second point is this, talking about why. Why is this important? I teach a class at our homeschool, and I teach a health and nutrition class. And in the class, I have a bunch of guys, and one of the guys, he works out because his dad works out. You know, he talks about working, regardless of what conversation I bring up, he takes it back to exercise. But it's because his dad exercises. When we talk about the nutrition section, they're talking about things that their parents put in the house. They don't go shopping. Their parents go shopping. So when you think about generational health, the kids are going to do not what you say. The kids are going to do what you do.
Right.
So when the kids seeing you taking care of your body and really prioritizing the temple of the Holy Spirit, which God has given us, then that's the same thing that your kids are going to do. So why are you doing this? You're doing this for your kids' future. It's not just about you, because I know you want to lose weight, you want to get in shape, but it's more about your kids, your homeschool environment, and your children's children. So that's point number 2. That's the why. Good. Now, point number 3 is that I want you to know that there are 3 aspects of this, because now we got to talk about the how. I mean, I'm running my mouth about why you should do this and what it means and everything about these dividends. But now we got to get into how you're going to do this. Number 1, discipline. You got to be disciplined to do this, right?
Yeah.
Number 2, you got to stay focused, because whoever stays focused the longest is going to win. You know, if you stay focused on the goal longer, then guess what? You're going to win and I'm going to lose. And the last thing is, I need you to take measurements. Now let's talk about that. I was driving here for an hour and a half. It took me an hour and a half to get here. I put on my GPS so I could just ride. But understand this, that GPS that you're running in your car is taking a measurement. It's telling you how far you are away from your destination. So if you want to live a healthier life, you got to have something to measure this upon. What gets measured gets accomplished. If you're not taking your measurements, guess what? Then it must not be a priority to you. So I want you to take measurements. The next thing is focus. A lot of people, they know that they don't want to gain weight, or they don't want to be fat, or they don't want to be out of shape, but do they know what they really want? You know, you want to be in shape, and you want to be in shape for what? Not really about, like I said, fitting in a suit or a dress. It's about, hey, I want to establish a healthy lifestyle in my homeschool, in my house, so that my kids will be healthy and my kids' kids will be healthy. So you got to know your why. One thing that I read like a few years ago, it was talking about motivation. And one of the number 1 things that we can do to motivate ourselves is have a compelling reason why. So why do you really want to establish generational health in your house? You got to have that. You got to write it down. It has to be before you put it on your bathroom mirror. Put it somewhere where you can see it every single time you wake up. So that's the second thing, focus. The last thing is, I want you to make sure that you know that you got to be disciplined. You're not going to want to get out of bed. You know, it's summertime, so it's getting warmer. So, yeah, you might want to get out of bed now, but what about when it gets cold? I know I was looking at an interview of the late Kobe Bryant, and one of the things that he said that really stuck with me was he doesn't negotiate with his feelings. He doesn't negotiate with himself. So when you make a decision to do something, then that means you just got to do it. Make sure that you don't try to consider your feelings or try to consider the weather outside or how good it feels to be in bed or how much stuff you got to do. Make a decision that you're going to be active. Make a decision that you're going to exercise. Make a decision that you're not going to be sedentary, and then just do it. If you start to negotiate with yourself, guess what? You're going to start to come up with all these reasons why you don't have time or you can't do it. So those are the top 3 ways. Now the how. Now what are you actually going to do? You decide to exercise. You decide to do this healthy thing and become more active in your home. How are you going to do that? Because you don't have any time, right? You don't have any time. You got 10, 12, 15 kids. You don't have any time to do all this. So there are 3 things. So simple. 3 things. I'm saying it's simple. I want you to repeat after me. It's simple. It's simple. It's simple. These 3 things are what you're going to do. You're going to walk. You're going to squat. And you're going to fly. Wow. You're going to walk, squat, and fly. Right. Now, walking, I know what you're saying. Hey, it's too hot outside. I don't want to get up early in the morning. There's a bunch of loose pit bulls or dogs running around the neighborhood. They're going to bite me. So, but this is what I'm telling you to do as far as walking. Very simple. You go grocery shopping, don't you? You go to the mall, don't you? Yeah. Instead of getting that spot that's right close to the handicap spot, and instead of getting that spot that's right there where it says, hey, if you have a child in the car, park really close, I want you to park as far as you possibly can and walk up to the grocery store. But I don't want you to walk at your normal lackadaisical pace. I want you to make sure that you walk just a little bit faster than what you would normally walk. That is the walking. That's all you got to do. Second thing, I say the squat. I'm not going to get up and teach y'all how to squat. So what I want you to do is get on this little device you have here, the cell phone here. There's a website you can go to. I think it's called YouTube. Yeah. And look and type in how to squat. There'll be a million videos pop up how to squat, okay? Learn how to squat, and I want you to squat, but of course you want to know how many times do I need to squat a day? How many squats do I need to do? I'm not going to tell you that either. Muhammad Ali said, I don't count my reps. I wait till I get tired, then I start counting. So just measure.
Okay.
Just measure. Do some squats. Okay. If it feels like I'm getting sort of tired, then start counting and do another 30. Just do something. But the main point is you're doing more than what you used to do. Take a measurement, write down how many you did, and then do more the next time. Push yourself. And the last thing is fly. Now, how in the world are you going to fly? This is how you're going to fly. It's called Superman's. Lay on your stomach, get in a figure X. You can look this up on that fancy little website, YouTube, too. Get on your stomach, get in a figure X, lift your arms up, you tighten up the whole posterior chain. It's going to be so cool. You're going to be so strong. So those are the 3 exercises. Incorporate into your everyday life, and you're going to love it. Be healthy and create generational wealth.
Thank you.
Health.
Hell, that's right.
Create generational health.
That is great. So we're gonna walk and squat and fly.
And fly.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to wrap up with Homeschool Helps with Amanda. She's going to explain the difference between spiral and mastery learning and some of the pros and cons.
Welcome to Homeschool Helps with Amanda. I'm Amanda Wares, Homeschool Helps Director with NCHE. Today, we again are going to be answering your questions. So, a question I got: what are the top favorite examples of curriculum for spiral learning? What a great question. So first off, what in the world is spiral learning? So you might hear about spiral versus mastery. And I think most of the time, maybe all the time, this goes with math in particular. So spiral learning introduces a concept, then practices it, moves on to another concept, practices that, then circles back, spirals back to the first one and reviews. And they do that constantly. It's a constant spiral. That's why it's called that. Concepts are revealed piece by piece, and each time they may go a little deeper with that concept as they go around and around. There's lots of review with spiral learning, as opposed to the mastery method. Now, mastery, just exactly what it sounds like. Instead of going from concept to concept and then circling back, you stick to one concept and master it completely before moving on to the next concept. So there's really pros and cons to both, and it depends so much on your student and their particular needs, their learning style, whether they have any special needs or anything like that, as to which method would be better for them. Maybe the idea of going from concept to concept, even if you go back to it later, is overwhelming for some students, and they do much better with a deep dive into one concept at a time. Or, on the other hand, maybe some students hanging out on that one concept for however long is really boring to them and they get burnt out on it. Or maybe, and a lot of times with those mastery-based curriculums, you are in a little bit different learning sequence than traditional curriculum. So you might be uncomfortable being on a different little sequence, a different schedule. Really, you just have to research as best you can, get to know your student and their learning style and their needs as best you can, and kind of make an educated guess and see if it works for you and your student. Now, what are some examples? What are the top examples of these different approaches? So, with spiral, examples of spiral-based math curriculum, Saxon is probably the most well-known and tried and true. Ibeka, Horizons, Alpha Omega, teaching textbooks. I hear about this one all the time. Life of Fred, that's a fun one. The Good and the Beautiful, and Christian Light Education. Now, examples of a mastery-based curriculum. There are several of those too. Math UC, probably on this list. I would say that's the one I hear about the most, so maybe that's the most popular. Math Mammoth, CTC Math. This is definitely a very up-and-coming popular math program right now. It's all online, but it is mastery-based. Beast Academy, Master Books. And then there are a few programs that try to kind of blend Spiral and Mastery. I'm not exactly sure what that looks like, but I thought I'd give you these examples just in case you want to check them out. Bob Jones, Right Start, and Singapore. So there you have it. The difference between Spiral and Mastery, and some examples why you might choose one or the other. So I really hope that helps today.
We appreciate you joining us this week. It's always good to be with you. Appreciate you giving us your time. If you have questions or feedback, you can send it to the Homeschool Show at ncag.com, and love for you to share this with any friends or family that you know would be interested. And until next week, continue to homeschool with confidence and joy.
Bye-bye.